We aren't the only family worried if we're gonna have enough firewood to make it through the rest of the heating season. I just got a call from one of our friends and they need our help. They're running dangerously low on their split firewood supply. So take a ride with me today because we're gonna talk about one of the most important aspects of homesteading.
I have to realize I can't do it all and I need help from other people. If I need help splitting wood, this is who I call. This is what's left of my 2022 wood. There's a couple of families in our church that there's a team of us help provide wood for that because they're too old to do it still.
Today we're talking about community, and specifically what community means on a homestead. Now we're only about a year and a half into our homesteading journey. Here recently we left our city life and we moved down to a brand new area. We left all of our friends and family and we didn't know anybody. I tend to be more of an introvert. I knew moving down here I was gonna have to change if I didn't want to be alone. I was gonna have to go out into the community, start talking, and meet people. We met the family that we're going to go help today at a local food co-op that we participate in. While we were there picking up our food, we struck up a conversation with them. And we learned that we had quite a lot in common and shared a lot of the same values. We also found out that they heat their home with wood and are even homesteaders. They've been teaching us a lot. And not just about homesteading, they've been teaching us about the local area. They turned us on to several locations where we can get free wood chips for our garden, told us about an area where we can get free produce, as there's a large distribution center nearby that always has a surplus, and have also helped us out with sourcing our firewood. Now the family that we're gonna go help today is years ahead of us in homesteading knowledge, infrastructure, and experience. But everybody needs help from time to time, and that's where community comes in. Their firewood supply is running pretty low. They do have some seasoned ash rounds on their property, but they just need split, but they don't have a wood splitter. So today, we're gonna take our wood splitter, hitch it up to the truck, and go down to their house and give them a hand. Besides, I love a good excuse to go fire up the wood splitter. I don't have any wood to split at the moment, so it's a good excuse for me to get out of the house and have some fun splitting firewood. I'm curious what your homesteading community is like. Do you have neighbors around you that are willing to help out when you need some assistance? Or are you the one that goes and helps your neighbors when they need a helping hand? Let me know down in the comments. Our friends don't live too far away. It's maybe a 10-minute drive to get to their property. But when I'm out driving around, it always reminds me of just how much I hated driving when I lived in the city. It was just a big headache, lots of traffic. There wasn't much to look at. Out here, I can take country roads to most places that I go. And it's just nice kind of looking around. I like looking at other people's houses. Now that I heat with wood, I know what to look for, and you can get a glance and see if somebody else heats with wood. It's nice just kind of taking stock of those sort of things, especially for some things with homesteading that we plan to get involved with in the future. We'd like to raise some animals, so I try to make a mental note of who I see that has chickens, cows, or anything that we might be interested in the future, because I might stop by their house someday and introduce myself, because I'm always looking for other people to learn from. I'm gonna sit back and enjoy the rest of this country drive because I'm out of the house, and like I said, I love just looking around. So Roger, I was telling everybody that Alex and I are very new into homesteading, but you guys have been doing it for a while. So how long have you and Abigail been homesteading?
As far as like actual homesteading, probably September of 19. We lived in Iowa before that, and we had a big garden and we had chickens, but that was about it. Like, it was just more about gardening. I would consider us more homesteading now, but probably our roots would be, even when we first got married, gardening was always a big deal. If we go all the way back to when we started that, probably about 2010, we started gardening and canning, and then it just kind of kept growing, and it's been like a steady build up. So we're on about 3 acres. A lot of it's wooded in the back. Not heavy wooded, but it's got a good tree cover. So we've got 4 or 5 large gardens going. We have about 12 to 15 blueberry plants that are in their early stages growing. We planted an orchard last year, so we've got apples and plums, pear trees, and then we're adding more this year, peaches and more pears, cherry, persimmon, pawpaw, hazelnut, pecan trees growing back there, black walnut. And then my wife's really into permaculture, which can be different things, but really about making everything work together. And we're trying to move to this place where we have like a food forest, where everything is either edible or helps something edible. Like flowers, you don't necessarily eat the flowers, but can I turn them into tea? Do they bring pollinators? Kind of making everything work together.
And what made you get into homesteading?
My wife and my oldest son have a lot of food sensitivities and allergies and issues, so there's just certain things we can't buy, like tomato products especially. And so it kind of just started out of necessity. Like, we wanted pasta sauce, we had to make it ourselves, or there wasn't pasta sauce. My wife always grew up gardening. I'm a city slicker. I never did anything. But she grew up gardening and canning and, you know, butchering their own meat. And so it just kind of started progressing that way. And then we did it because we found it was cheaper to grow than it was to buy, especially on our diet. And then we added children and we needed more food. It's just kind of this steady progression, and now it's more of like a hobby almost. You know, like we had chickens last year, but we butchered them all before winter. We'll add more chickens this year. We might add some goats in the backyard for a couple of months just to help with the ground. Having healthy, sustainable food is important to us and my wife and my son's health. It's just like a pride that comes with it, like, I made this.
When you guys moved here, did you find that others in the community kind of helped you guys get started?
Pressure canning, it's one of those things where, like, once you start meeting people who do it, everybody wants to share stuff, right? Like, you know, we got it from a bunch of older ones that they couldn't pressure can anymore, but they had thousands of jars that are just sitting, and their grandkids didn't do it anymore, and they didn't want it. Their kids didn't do it, their grandkids didn't do it, and they didn't know what to do with all these jars. So we're like, we'll move them for free if we can keep them. And then we found we had too many jars, and so then we meet people like, oh, I wish I knew how to do it. Well, we can give you jars and help you get started. It just kind of kept happening over and over and over again. And, you know, we did it with you guys, and it's a gradual thing. Like, it builds up, and now we know, you know, if I need help splitting wood, this is who I call. If I need help butchering, this is who I call. If I need help building, this is who I call. You kind of just, I guess we realized too, the longer we did it, I can't do everything. Like, you watch the videos online, or you read the blogs, and people can do everything. It seems like we can't do everything. I work a full-time job. I don't have time to do everything, and so I could either quit my job and do this full-time, or I have to realize I can't do it all, and I need help from other people. And so it's trying to build network relationships, which I don't do. My wife does. She's awesome, and I'm not.
Well, hey, we're here today for firewood, so let us know, how do you heat your home right now? Obviously with wood, but what's your setup like?
So we heat almost exclusively with wood. We have a furnace, but it's expensive. So I set the thermostat on 62, and if it doesn't get below 62, which is great. This is what's left of my this is 2022 wood. So there's probably 14 pallets here. We'll stack them about 5 to 6 feet high, 2 rows on each set of pallets, so there's 4 rows of about 5 feet high. That seems to be about the right number for us. My current wood, the wood that I would use right now, I keep it back here. It's already split, and then we mulched this whole back area, so when I'm splitting, you get all those wood chips everywhere. I don't care. It just helps break down in the grass, and as we kind of tried to rebuild some of the soil health around here. There's a couple of families in our church that I help provide there's a team of us help provide wood for that because they're too old to do it still, or physically can't do the work. So we help out with them a lot. And then out front, I've got 2 really big stacks, and so I have them separated into years. And there's the first stack is what I'll burn next fall and next winter, and then the stack next to it is still seasoning, and I'll use it the year after that. We have an O-ring on the front porch of our house, which is right where our stove is, and then we have an O-ring on the inside of our house. And so what we'll do is we'll get the wheelbarrow out because the kids can push the wheelbarrow and it's more efficient for us, and then we'll just load it up. We'll wheel it around to the front of the house, put it in O-ring 1, and then we'll fill inside O-ring 2, and then as the inside empties, we'll fill it from the outside, and then we'll refill from the pile over here.
How often do you find that you're having to come out to your wood pile to bring wood to the house?
Really depends on the temperature. We'll probably do it every 3 or 4 days at most. If really bad storms are coming in and we know there's going to be like a good snowstorm, we'll take a couple of extra loads into the garage and just store it in. And then I forgot to mention too, when the weather gets really, really bad, we have a fireplace at the back of our house, but we never use it unless it drops below like 15 constantly.
So you have a wood stove and a fireplace.
And a fireplace, yeah. Wood stove's on one end, and as long as it's above 25, it keeps the house at about 68. I mean, we could get it hotter, obviously, but we don't want to. But once it dips below about 15 as a high, we turn on the back fireplace, and then the 2 of them together heat our house pretty well. We don't use the furnace at all.
So we were able to help our friends split about a face cord of seasoned ash. So they're in a much better position now to make it through the rest of the heating season, and if that's not enough, we'll go back again. I just love their story, and I'm glad I was able to share it with you guys, as they've taught us a lot about homesteading, and really, they've taught us about what it means to be part of a rural community. Community is one of the most important aspects of homesteading. Now, if you live in a town or a city, you may be part of a great community, but I really think the homesteading community is unique. And I think what sets it apart from other communities is that a lot of what you're doing is really survival based. So when somebody needs help, it might be a matter of they're not able to heat their house this winter, or they don't have enough food to feed their family. It is so rewarding when you help out a friend or a neighbor out here, because it can make such a big impact on that family. No matter how good you are at homesteading, we all have strengths and weaknesses, and you should not be ashamed to ask for help. If you're well off on your homesteading journey, make sure you're helping those out around you, because you probably had help when you were first getting started. The family we saw today has taught me so much about generosity. They helped us so much when we were complete strangers to them, and we almost didn't understand why. In our old lives, we weren't used to people being that kind. And it's changed us as a family. It makes us want to be more generous now and to go out and help our friends and neighbors. So if you don't like the world that we live in, start by making a change yourself. Be kind, because it really rubs off on people. Thanks for tagging along with me today, and watch this video next to learn more about homesteading.